And the Deputy Liberal Leader and Foreign Minister Julie Bishop joined me earlier from Brisbane. Foreign Minister, thank you for your time.
Good evening, Leigh.
You've already been in marginal seats in nearly every state. Are Australians paying attention yet?
Leigh, I have been on the ground in marginal seats across Australia, and I'm finding that people are engaged. They are reacting positively to Malcolm Turnbull and to the Coalition's economic plan and vision for the future, particularly small businesses, where I've been focusing my efforts. They're excited about our plans for increased economic growth, our vision for the future, and the job opportunities that we see for Australians. So they're interested to hear more. I don't know that they're focused so much on the actual election. I think that people's attention span will narrow and be more focused the closer we get to the election. But they are interested in what we have to say, and they like what they see in Malcolm Turnbull.
Well, actually, the polls would show that the more they see of Malcolm Turnbull, the less they like about Malcolm Turnbull.
Leigh, I respect the polls, but that's not what I'm hearing on the ground. I'm getting very positive feedback about Malcolm. They like what they hear, they like his leadership style, and I think as we get closer to the polls, the contrast between Bill Shorten as a Labor opposition who's prepared to buy its way into office and grandstand on any issues and promise higher taxing and unfunded spending and ballooning debt, and Malcolm Turnbull and his team's competent economic management and focus on economic security and national security will resonate.
But nonetheless, even accounting for what you say, that sometimes there can be a difference in what polls say and what the mood is on the ground, that doesn't account for the fact that the Prime Minister's dropped nearly 50 points in his approval rating since he got the job. That has to be alarming people on the Liberal side.
It's always a question of managing expectations, and people had hoped...
He hasn't met expectations?
Well, people had hoped that Malcolm and our team would be able to immediately turn around the economic circumstances that we inherited from Labor. Yes, it's been nearly 3 years, but Labor's economic management set us back decades, and so it is taking time to bring the budget back into balance.
And what's the statute of limitations on that argument, do you think?
Well, we have a very positive plan for the future, and people are responding to our support for small business, our innovation and science plan, our defence industry plan that people understand will provide jobs and opportunities, new industries across Australia, our free trade agreements that are giving small and medium businesses the opportunity to export their goods and services beyond Australian shores, and our tax incentives and tax cuts. This is a very positive plan, and people are responding to me in a very positive way.
Maybe that's because they like you. Maybe they're not responding to your message because, again, I come back to the polls, which is showing that perhaps your jobs and growth message more generally is not cutting through.
I believe that the closer we get to the election, and we have about 40 days to go, the more people will focus on our message, which is one of very positive vision for the future, backing small business, backing our free trade agreements that will provide more jobs, more opportunities, particularly for younger people. And I'm finding that our unemployment...
Let me interrupt you just because you've made that point, and so I want to go to the heart of something you're saying, which is about having a positive vision. Yes. The Prime Minister often says that it's an exciting time to be an Australian, but is it possible that that message alienates a lot of Australians who feel that it's an anxious time because they don't know if technology is going to take their jobs, they don't know if their children are going to be able to afford to buy houses, they don't know if they will have a government and a government welfare and health safety net in their retirement?
I believe that they're finding our vision through our economic plan to be reassuring. We have a pathway to follow that we believe will create strong economic circumstances, will create job opportunities, particularly in small business. That's where the jobs are. 97% of the businesses in Australia are small businesses. We want to support small businesses because they can provide the jobs for the future. And I actually believe the message on innovation, on new economies, on the traditional economies embracing creativity so that they can be sustainable is resonating. That's my experience.
All right, let me run through a couple of other things before we're out of time. The Health Minister, Susan Leigh, said today that the government would like to lift the Medicare rebate freeze, but that Finance and Treasury won't allow her to do so. How do you figure that? You're the government.
Well, the point she's making is that there are constraints on spending in the health budget because of the budgetary constraints that we inherited because of Labor's debt and deficit.
But you can choose which policies you want to adopt to address that.
Yeah, and we will be increasing our spending on health and aged care by over 4% in the next 12 months. And the difference between our increases in health spending is that ours are actually funded and paid for.
But if you wanted to lift that freeze, you could do it tomorrow.
But this is a budgetary constraint that's been imposed on us, and I find it very interestingly that when Labor imposed this freeze on indexation, it was seen to be a responsible measure. Indeed, the health spokesman at the time, Tanya Plibersek, scoffed at the suggestion that there shouldn't be a freeze on indexation. Well, we've continued the budgetary measure, and it's in the forward estimates, and when we can have an affordable, sustainable health budget, we will of course lift it. But the point is, bulk billing rates are at an historic high. Even Bill Shorten has to admit that. And so his scare campaign about bulk billing just does not wash.
In your own portfolio on foreign aid, Labor is promising more money. Will the coalition match it?
Leigh, the budget in foreign aid was increasing anyway. And so Tanya Plibersek, having promised for the last 3 years tens of billions of dollars in increased foreign aid, has made an announcement of a modest increase when the aid budget was increasing anyway, as amply demonstrated by the forward estimates. So it was a non-event, and yet they're trying to mislead people into believing that it's a brand new announcement against the background of the foreign aid budget increasing in line with CPI throughout the forward estimates.
One more question. Labor says it will reverse the rules on politicians' so-called double dipping in their Canberra housing arrangements. Surely that's the sort of thing that the public would support and that the coalition could get behind.
Leigh, the proper place for the determination of politicians' conditions is with the Remuneration Tribunal, which is independent, and with the Australian Taxation Office, also independent. I don't think anyone would trust Bill Shorten to get involved in determining politicians' pay and conditions, and I believe the appropriate course is for the Remuneration Tribunal and the Australian Tax Office to review these matters and be in charge of it, not Bill Shorten.
Foreign Minister, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.